Welcome to this Veterans Day special observance presented by the Barry M. Goldwater chapter of the Arizona Sons of the American Revolution. I'm Bob Denny, the Veterans Committee Chair. The following slides are just a sample of our chapter's commitment in recognizing the military veterans in our chapter. We know there are many who have not yet submitted detail or a photo and are yet to be fully recognized. Over the next few months ahead, you will hear more about our mission to have each and every veteran in our chapter fully recognized as a veteran. This includes service in all branches of the military. We honor all who served, regardless of your assignment, be it in combat or other assignments. All who served honorably in regular service, National Guard, Reserve, all deserve our gratitude. At this point, we're going to stop the music in order to highlight a special compatriot of our chapter who is a World War II veteran. And I think after you see this, you'll understand even better why we call the World War II veterans the greatest generation. 16, Jim was a high school student living in Baltimore, Maryland with his parents. He was an Eagle Scout and already had a civilian pilot's license. Jim loved to fly and regularly would take his high school buddy up in the air with him. Later, during the summer of 1941, the two boys, or I should say two young men, saw an ad showing Canada was looking for men to join the Canadian Army. It depicted a pilot in an air combat scenario. The two were captivated and left home without informing their parents, and both made their way to Canada by train and volunteered. With Jim's pilot license in hand and the enthusiasm they both showed, they were accepted as cadets in the Royal Canadian Air Corps. They completed training and were accepted as pilots in the Royal Canadian Air Corps in the fall of 1941. Later that year, in December, something happened. Let's see, December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor. As Jim heard the radio announcement about Pearl Harbor, he went to his commander and requested permission to be discharged from the Canadian Air Force and come down to the United States to join. His buddy decided to remain up in Canada and stay in the Royal Canadian Air Corps. The Canadian Army agreed to release Jim and give him a discharge in consideration of him coming down to the United States and joining the Americans. Jim made his way back to the United States, went to a recruiting office, and was greeted willingly, and suddenly the 2-year college requirement for pilots was no longer in effect, and with his training from Canada, he was accepted into the U.S. Army and sent to the U.S. Army Air Corps for instrument training. Jim was posted to Columbia, South Carolina, and knew B-25 Group and Squadron. He flew across the South Atlantic in the first wave as a group of approximately 65 airplanes and finally entered combat out of Ain Malila, North Africa. After Rommel gave up Africa, they were then sent to Sicily until the Germans then moved to Italy. They moved to South Italy and later further north to Foggia. In all, Bugbee flew 50 combat missions and was eligible to return to the United States. However, he volunteered to stay on and stayed on for another 15 missions. He was ultimately awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. Jim was mustered out on points. Back in the United States, he entered Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore and later drove to California to get back in airplanes. He joined California Air National Guard flying B-26s, DC-3s, and P-51s. He graduated from the U.S. Air Force Tactical School and currently got a job as a production pilot with Northrop, flying C-125s, F-89s, Snark missiles. He resigned as chief production pilot and joined the FAA in Los Angeles as an engineering test pilot, certifying after testing DC-8s, 9s, 10s, Guppies, Lockheed 1011s, etc. Also Boeing 727s and 747s, too numerous to mention. He got a degree from the University of California, Northridge. Jim retired in FAA in 1985 as the Chief of Engineering Flight Test for the FAA Western Region, which included California, Nevada, Arizona, the Pacific Islands, and Rim countries. He moved from Los Angeles to Scottsdale, Arizona with his wife Beth, who resigned from the FAA as Acting Public Affairs Officer. Jim has 3 children, 1 grandson, 1 granddaughter, and 3 great-grandchildren. Since 2008, they have spent 6 of 12 months each year on Oahu and volunteering as docents at Pacific Aviation Museum, in addition to being active in other organizations on the island. Thank you for participating in our Veterans Day Special Observance 2020. And to all veterans, thank you for your service. And fellow compatriots, remember, if you were not mentioned or observed in this particular observance, we will be in touch with each of you over the next months to make sure that we get your story, and as a part of a project we're doing, we want to make sure that we recognize all veterans in our chapter. Thanks again, everybody.